Lesson 1.3.1. Oh, and I was going to show you guys kind of what we're doing for the week again, just so we have kind of a understanding of what we're doing. So get your notes out if you haven't already. Lesson 1.3.1, the history of taxonomy. Okay, let me show you the plan for the week. So this week so far, we had a quiz on Monday. We had our work day yesterday, so we went through the crossword, we read the entire lesson. So if you haven't turned in your crossword, make sure you turn it in today because that is due. Today we're taking notes on 1.3.1 and 1.3.2. So we're gonna try and cruise through both of those in the next pretty much 45 minutes. I'm not gonna go too fast. I'm gonna make sure we have enough time. So if we don't get through it, we'll make sure we get through it at the end of it tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to be going through 1.3.3 and 1.3.4. So as you may have noticed, no homework on Wednesday, so today, and no homework on the 1st, which is tomorrow. So no homework those 2 days. We're just going to be doing notes the entire classes. And then Friday, you guys are going to have time to do this homework right here, page 45, page 48, page 50, and page 56. I'm going to have something else for you too that day. I'm just trying to get it all scanned onto here first. So this is just part of what we're doing that day. And then next week, you guys have been asking I've had a few of you ask what we're doing next week. So Monday, we have quiz number 3, so the study guide. We're gonna be doing that on Monday, study guide. And then Tuesday the 6th, we'll have the quiz over the 4 lessons that we're doing this week. So that's coming up real quick, less than a week from now. And then Wednesday, we're gonna get started on the next 2 lessons. Yeah, I can give you the study guide now. I gotta make copies of it. I haven't printed it out. I have it on here, so if you want to print it, you can always print it on here first. But yeah, I'll try and get them all printed out today so I can hand them out. And then, so Thursday and Friday of next week is when you guys have no school. So no school on the 8th and no school on the 9th next week because that's when we're having our teacher training. So you guys will have no school, but your teachers will be doing training for ourselves. We'll go over that when we're going over blood cells. There is a lesson about that. Okay. So hopefully you guys have had enough time to get through and write this down. So let's get going.
Oh, we're supposed to write that.
Yep, you're supposed to write down the lesson. So lesson 1.3.1. Okay, so we have our different kingdoms. We have 5 different main kingdoms here. Have you guys heard of some of these at least before? I'm sure you guys have heard of it. Yep, you've heard of animals, you've heard of plants, you've heard of fungi, bacteria. We've heard of bacteria, and then we have protists. Protists is a little bit different. I'm sure some of you have not heard of them before, but you've probably gone over them in science in probably 4th and 5th grade. This is really what we're going to be going through the entire, this entire lesson is going to go over animals, plants, fungi, bacteria, and protists, and how we classify them. So first, it depends on who you are. For some people, yeah, this will be easier because you can see animals, you can see plants, you can see fungi. Cells is a little bit harder because you can't see cells, right? Okay, I'm gonna move on. We are gonna do a little warm up here. I have a couple little mini games put into these PowerPoints, so I'm trying to do some fun things in this. So we're gonna identify the following organisms as animals, plants, fungi, bacteria, or protists. So the next 10, I have 10 slides of just an image, and you're going to tell me if it's an animal, a plant, fungi, bacteria, or a protist. So let's get started. So right here, don't shout it out, you guys. So this one should be one of the easier ones, right? So raise your hand if you know this one. I want to see everyone's hand. I know everyone knows this one. Jaden, what's this one? Yeah. It's a lion, and what would we classify it as? An animal, plant, protist, fungi? Animal, yep. It's an animal.
I love the animation.
Yep, we're talking about the lion, so it's the animal. What's this? What's this going to be classified as? Okay, that's a very I'm losing specific classification, but what kingdom is it a part of? There we go. What kingdom is it a part of? Courtney? It's in the animal kingdom. All insects, they're going to be a part of the animal kingdom. Okay, what is this? We're not talking about the water. We're talking about what all this green stuff is. I think it's green.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's green. Okay, what is this going to be, Oasis? Yeah.
I like the protist.
Protist, yes. Protist.
Oh,
Sorry. Yeah. This is the protist. So protist, so examples of protist would be fungi is going to be like a mushroom, or I shouldn't say that because I think that's my next slide. No, it's not. So protists are going to be like, okay, I don't want to go, I'm going to end up saying some of my slides, but it's going to be an example of like algae or bacteria. So I don't want to say too many or else I'm going to mess up. Aries, what's this one? I know, I was trying to find a better one, but none of them, all the other ones, they were like too small of an image and it looked really blurry. So it's black and white, but yeah, it's bacteria. So something you're going to be looking under a microscope, you're usually going to be classifying that as bacteria because that's something small and you can see it, but you're not going to be able to see it with this type of detail. So this is under the microscope. Okay. Okay. This right here, this should be one of our other easy ones. Evan, what's this one?
A plant.
It's a plant. It's a plant. It is not broccoli, but if it was broccoli, it would also be a plant. Courtney, what's this? We have fungi now. Now we have fungi. Now what is this? What is this, Logan? It's a plant. Yep. So we have our water lilies. That's going to be a plant. What's this going to be? I found a color one. I will tell you now, this is not Cheetos. Not Cheetos. Oasis, what is this going to be? Yep, there's our bacteria. I made it the same color as that. And it's not Cheeto Puffs. They look like Cheeto Puffs though. All right, what's this? Not the food itself, but what's on the food. I kind of gave away my answer already, Bethy. Yeah. That's our protist. So when you have I'm going to go back a little bit. So when you have the little, I'm drawing a blank. The mold, thank you. When you have the mold on your food, that is going to be an example of a protist. So mold, algae, yeah, Courtney? Yeah. Yeah, protists, you're going to be able to see them better. So like algae, mold, you're going to be able to see it. But with fungi, or not fungi, with bacteria, you're going to be, if you want to see it with really good quality, you're going to need to look under a microscope because it is hard to see. What? Moth or moss? Moss is going to be a plant, yeah. Yep. I thought I had moss on here. Oh, here's one of our, it's athletes, but yep. So what is this going to be, Bethy? Yeah. Fungi. So a lot of gross things like this. Sorry, I was going to warn you guys that this isn't even a bad version of athletes, but yeah. All right, so you need to write this down. We're finally to the part where we're writing stuff down. So a little bit of history. We're bringing history into this. We're connecting our classes. So Aristotle, he was the first scientist to organize living and non-living things into categories. So Aristotle, he organized things and said, this is living, this is not living. So if it is a human, that's living. If it is a whiteboard, that's not living. Okay, so he was the first person to classify things into those two categories. Excuse me. I'm going to butcher this name, Scala Natura. That is, what that stands for is the ladder of life. Scala Natura. I probably butchered that, and I apologize. I'm very bad at pronouncing words. So that is the ladder of life. And what would that look like? It looks like something like this. This is more of a stepping ladder, but you have a picture of this in your book, and that's the one I want you to copy down. It's on page 43. So if you have your book out, which you need to have it out, go to page 43. There's a picture of that ladder. And so that's where we're talking about the ladder of life. So draw the image, and all you have to do is just draw a little, just drawing a ladder. And then for each rung, so that bottom rung is going to be non-living things. And so the example they have on here is rocks. So rocks, sand, dirt, those are some non-living things. Plants, so that's where we have trees, grass, flowers, all of these, everything, a lot of things that are green, broccoli. There's another. We're going to be going into these categories too. And then we have animals. Animals is your, or no, I skipped over one. We have invertebrates. That's why I didn't want you to draw this one, because this one skips over the invertebrates. So the third rung is invertebrates. Our third rung is invertebrates. Does anyone know, I know you guys read through this yesterday, so it should be pretty fresh in your mind. What would fall under an invertebrate or an invertebrate? Yeah. Bacteria, no, not quite. What would fall under an invertebrate? And if you did forget, it is on your page on, or in your book on page, I think it's the next one. I didn't see it on page, where it goes into examples of it. Oh, it does. Yeah, there it is. Yep. So right next to the ladder, it says the ladder of life. He put things, he placed plants on the second rung, invertebrates, which it says what invertebrates are. So yeah, Evan. Yeah, I'll get it for you in just a sec. So that with invertebrates, that is going to be something that does not have a backbone. Can anyone think of something that does not have a backbone? Courtney? Bird has a backbone.
No, not fish.
Yes, yes, fish. Good. Lizards, they have a backbone. What else can you guys think of that would fall into that category? Madeline? Whale. I can't remember.
Yeah, because we have those. If we're all talking about fish, I got a really good one.
I think whales are gonna, since they are breathing oxygen, they are going to fall into the mammal category. So what's another one? So what's another one you can think of, Bethy?
A worm?
A worm. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Is more of the insects. Yeah, a worm. Yep. What else would fall into there? Aries? Thinking. All right, I'll come back to you. William? Jellyfish? Yep, jellyfish. That's another great example. Okay, I'm going to move on because I think you guys have the example of that. And then you have animals that do have a vertebrae. So you're going to have a lot of reptiles falling into that. And then we have mammals. Mammals, that's where a cat would.
Cat and a fish.
That's a bad idea.
Cat and a fish.
So I just picked this image more because I like how it looked. But the ladder of life, what you want to reference is the picture in your book on page 43. Yeah, reference that picture, not this one. Yes, Caleb? I have water if you have your water bottle. Oh, you don't have it? Okay. So you can go down to the office. Your parents will have to pay for it. I don't know. You'll have to ask them when you head down there. Okay. So let's move on to our next slide. So in the 1700s, here's another fun name. Carolus Linnaeus, there we go. Linnaeus, I got it. Carolus Linnaeus came up with a system to organize all living things. So this is in the 1700s. We're in the 1700s now. So this is where he came up with the kingdom of plants and then the kingdom of animals. And I got these little I know you guys know what these things are because you guys use your phones.
What is?
And you've seen these in all the different memes and stuff you look at.
I don't have.
We got your emoji of a cow here, which is going to be in the animal kingdom. And then we have a plant emoji here, which is going to be in the plant kingdom. So there will be some history questions within this first lesson, because this first lesson is a lot about the history and then how we're classifying things. You have to take quizzes on your own, dude. I know you can't use Mrs. Hanson's brain. Yes.
So this machine, I connect to the computer, it downloads everything about the world, all the math, I'll do everything in my brain.
You wouldn't be able to download all that into your brain because your brain is not a piece of technology. Well, you're not.
What is?
It's not possible at this time. All right. Guys good?
Yeah.
Hey, it's like the book, man.
Okay, let's move on. So that was our history. Okay, well, I guess I had one more slide. Oh yeah, the microscope. So once we had the microscope, and once the microscope was invented, scientists found out that there was something that they were not able to classify as an animal or a plant. So that's when they came up with the Protista kingdom. And that's when microorganisms came into play. And a microorganism is something that you need a microscope to be able to see. So that's where we have the bacteria, viruses. Anything that you can't see with your naked eye, if you need some kind of technology like a microscope to see it, that is usually going to be a part of the Protista kingdom. Unless you're taking like, unless you're analyzing like a piece of skin, which you can see your skin under a microscope, that's not going to fall under under the Protista kingdom because you're just looking at the cells in the skin. Robert Whittaker, he developed the 5 kingdom system. So Robert Whittaker, he is responsible for the 5 kingdoms that we have today. So, and those kingdoms are, which we just went over in our little mini game, the animal kingdom, we have the plant kingdom, fungi, bacteria, and the protists. And sometimes you will see them written like this, Protista. The Protista kingdom, you will see it as the Animalia kingdom, that's just the animal kingdom. And then Plantae kingdom, you'll see it written like that as well. So I'm trying to remember how fungi, I think it's written a different way. No, so fungi, that's one of the ones that will stay the same. It'll just stay as fungi. That was the only one that stays the same. So for animal, they will be considered the Animalia kingdom, the Plantae kingdom, the Protista kingdom. Fungi stays as fungi. And then bacteria. And we're going to go over a little bit of how we are going to classify, I think that's the next lesson, where we're going to classify these kingdoms and put them into different, what they are called is domains. And we have 3 different domains. Oh, we are doing that in this lesson. That must be the next slide. You guys just about got it? Not quite. So I will jump ahead a little bit. So our 3 different domains is Eukarya kingdom. We have the Archaea kingdom, and then we have the Bacteria kingdom. And each one of these 5 is going to fall into one of them. So in the Archaea kingdom, that's where we have the only thing that's classified under there is going to be bacteria. I said archaea, didn't I? I meant bacteria is only under bacteria. Brain fart. Eukarya, that is our largest domain. It has animals under there. It has plants in there. We're going to have the protists in there. But I have that on my next slide here. I'm pretty sure. Oh, I have them naming. we have our naming. So nomenclature. I know that you guys love your cats, so I made sure I threw a cat in there somewhere.
I love it. What is the cat's name?
I don't know.
We need to name it.
Literally directed towards
So
me.
binomial nomenclature. Binomial nomenclature. So what does binomial mean? Or let's break it down. What does bi mean? Yes, Bethy. Two. Bi means two. So when we break that down, the bi means two. And so what does that mean? We have a two-part naming system. So binomial nomenclature, that means it is a two-part naming system. So each species has a name that shows it is different from every other species. And this is every type of animal. I only used one example of a cat. You can think of literally anything. It's going to have it has a two-part name that is going to classify it as what it is. So the simple version of a cat is just what we call cats, a cat. The two-part binomial nomenclature would be Felis catus. Yep. Some of them, they do get a little complicated. I tried to grab an easier one. But a lion has a two-part name. It's still a type of cat. So it is still going to have the Felis part, but I can't remember what the second part of the name is. Same thing with like a jaguar, a tiger, leopard, all the different cats, they are going to have a two-part name. Well, the cat is going to have Felis at the beginning, and then it'll have its, what type of cat it is. Yeah. Is it? Nice. That's cool. I didn't know that. I do not have all of these memorized, and I'm not expecting you guys to memorize all of them. The thing I want you guys to memorize, or the thing I want you to know, is that all animals, they have a binomial nomenclature, meaning that they are named in a two-part naming system. So I don't expect you to have all of the Felis catus memorized, or like Abby said, the orca. Please stop interrupting me. We have that they have a two-part name, okay? It is not, a cat is just, it is normally known as a cat, but its scientific name is a Felis catus. Same thing goes with every living organism. Yeah.
So for that, it's
For what?
It's spelled F-E-L-I-E.
For
Felis.
for the cat. Okay, we got this one? Okay. All right. So a little bit more. I have another part of cats right here. And this is just the cats of North America. So taxonomy, taxonomy, I was about to say taxidermy again. Taxonomy supports God's power. Taxonomy supports God's power. So this is your next main point. So taxonomy helps people learn about God's creation, the number of species, and then the variety of life, and the creativity. So we have all these different types of cats in the world. Same thing with dogs. We have all these different types of dogs. Reptiles, there's tons of different reptiles. And then we are able to bring reptiles down and branch them off into different types of reptiles. We have snakes. We have different types of insects. We have different types of lizards. So there's all different, you just start branching things out with their different kingdom and their domain that they're a part of. The mountain lion, the panther. There's the jaguar too, that's a big one. Have you guys seen any of these animals in real life before? Have you guys seen a bobcat?
Yes.
I haven't seen the jag.
I've seen a mountain.
I've never heard of the jaguarundi.
I've seen a wild.
I haven't seen a Florida panther. I've seen a lynx.
I was going to Mr.
A margay, I've seen a margay. A jaguar, yep. Ocelot, no. Mountain lion, yep. Has anyone seen every single type of animal up there?
except for 2 of them.
Except for 2 of them, Oasis? You've seen every single one before? The Jaguarundi? Never seen one of those at a zoo or something like that. Yeah, Caleb?
I was on a buffalo trail. I can't remember where it was.
Mm-hmm.
There was a mountain line about 100 feet across the
Oh,
water.
yeah. Yeah, up at our cabin, which is up in Lake Merwin, Campers Hideaway, we've seen a good amount of mountain lions because it's out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, Evan?
Actually, on the news live, there was actually a cougar and someone cried.
Yeah, there's a lot of cougars out around here. Yep.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Yep.
Where I live,
We've seen a
and
cougar,
I
too.
haven't heard this, but it's close to where you live, probably, but there's in the back of the little lake. That's where there was like 4 or 3 cougars.
Mhm.
2 of them were killed there.
Yep. That's okay.
It was a horrible environment.
I'll let you finish it up. So get that one finished, and then we're moving on to the next lesson. So those of you who are done, make sure you write down the next lesson. So lesson 1.3.2 is the one we're on now. So get this slide finished up, and we're moving on to the classification. And I think these 2 lessons grouped together is kind of cool because we went into.
It would get voted out.
I have no idea which one's the most common. I don't specialize in animals. I really like animals, but I don't specialize in them. I more specialize in human anatomy and human science. And then
Did we
I
write
bet the
the
Small
most
stuff.
common kind of cat in North America is
I would agree that that is very common, especially here in St. Helens. All right, we're on to classification. This is page 46 to 48. You guys have read this already, so a lot of this should be familiar.
I read the whole chapter.
Yeah, I had you guys read the whole chapter, so you're all ready to go. I gotta cruise through this, but just if you have anything to say, let me know at the end, because then you guys can we'll talk about all this after. So 8 taxonomic categories. 8 taxonomic, keep saying that wrong. 8 taxonomic categories. 8 taxonomic categories. So what do we mean by largest to smallest categories? Well, that means we always start out with this category right here, the domain. What domain are you a part of? That's where we start. And then we branch out to what kingdom are you a part of? I have the numbers of, is it the next slide? Yeah, I do. Okay, I do have that. So the domain, I have the numbers on how many species are a part of the domain. It's a lot. The kingdom, we branch out to there. So how many different species fall under the different kingdoms. So that's what we went over a little bit. We have the Animalia kingdom, the Plantae kingdom, the Protista kingdom, the Fungi kingdom, and then I'm missing one more. Fungi, Animalia, plant. I'm missing one. That's bugging me. Animal, plant, fungi, bacteria, protist. I missed one of them. I don't know which one I missed. So those are your different kingdoms. And then from there, we go into phylum. Does anyone know what phylum is? Does anyone have an idea of what it is? Doesn't have to be like an exact definition. Has anyone heard of phylum before?
Something to foam.
Not a foam. I mean, it does have something to do with your body. Huh? Just thinking out loud. Yeah, Ian?
Is it a type of nutrient?
Not a type of nutrient. So all these different things, all these categories, we are getting more and more specific until we get, so we start out at the domain, and then we get all the way down to species. So from phylum, we move to class. Class, we get to order. Order, we get to family. Family, we get to genus. And then genus, we get to species. So what all these categories mean, I don't expect you to know what every single one means, but I want you to know that we start at the domain, we end at the species, and that this is how we classify every type of living organism, every type of living organism. And I'm going to have some examples in another little game show that I have. I made a couple game shows in my PowerPoint. It's kind of fun. I did that when I was watching TV last night. Okay, you guys don't win anything. So here is one of my games. Name that cat. I was in a cat mood because I know you guys love your cats. Name that cat. Black Panther. All right, name Wakanda Forever. Yep. All right, so we're gonna name that cat. Oh man, I went too far. No, I didn't. Okay, so first and foremost, we have domain. So this this cat is a part of the Eukarya domain, which means in the Eukarya kingdom there are 8 million species. So the different domains, it's back on page 45. You can see them all. There's the bacteria kingdom, the Archaea kingdom, and the Eukarya kingdom. The Eukarya kingdom is the biggest because that's where animals fall, plants, protistas, and fungi. So within the Eukarya kingdom, 8 million different types of species from animals, plants, fungi, protists, all of those fall into that category. So that's our domain, 8 million species. Then we move on to the kingdom. So this cat, it is under the animal kingdom. The animal kingdom. And under the animal kingdom, there are millions of types of species. Millions of species. Okay. Then from kingdom, we move on to phylum, our different phylums. Yep, that's where we find, so the cat is under the Chordata. It's, the phylum is called Chordata. I don't expect you to know that part. So you will get into that in different types of science later on though in high school. But we're not going to get that specific. So there's 45,000 different species under the Chordata kingdom. Yeah, yep. That's okay. I don't expect you to be able to, and it's also, this is in your book. Yeah, this is all, I took this off the FYI, name that cat in the column on the right side. This is those numbers right off the side right there. So if you don't get this written down, it's on page 47 in the FYI in the right column. And it's the answers. I know we're going to get to tiger.
Don't look at the answer.
Yeah, don't look at the answer. I didn't say the answer. Then class, we get down to mammalia. So that's where we have mammals. They fall. This animal, this cat falls into the mammal class. And there are 5,416 species in that. Yeah, Aries? This guy? Yeah, that's a bat. Well, humans aren't, each human is not a species. Humans in general are just one type of species because we are not the same as an ape. Apes are a different category. Species are a different species. Wait, did I say that wrong? Apes are a type of species, and humans are a type of species. Apes are a different type of species. We are not a part of the same. You're not part ogre. Then we have order. So the order, that is where we have carnivores, herbivores, all those different types of species. So carnivores, there are 270 different types of species under this order. We're not going to get to one. I think once we get from the genus, we're going to get down to, we will get to one species at the very end. But we do narrow it all the way down, and that's what this category ranking does. It narrows it down to one type of species. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep. We're working on narrowing everything down, and that's what it does. Yep. It does say there. I just didn't want you guys to have to write all that down. Then we have the family, and that's where we have the feline family, the 35 different types of species. 35 different types. There are variations, but I think you're right. So that's the family. Then we get to the genus. And so the tiger and the lion, the jaguar, and the two different types of leopard, we have a regular leopard and a snow leopard. They are all part of the Panthera species. So it could be, it might be Panthera actually. So we have the Panthera tigris, we have the Panthera leo, the Panthera onca, we have the Panthera pardus, and Panthera unica. Don't quote me for those. That's just what I'm reading. I don't have all these memorized, and I don't expect you guys to memorize these. This is just the classification of what genus it's a part of, and that's that first word. And then the last one, we have species, and that's the tigris. So that's that second word that we read. So Panthera, which is the genus, and then the species is tigris. And that narrows it all the way down to one single species. Yeah, Oasis.
Is there anyone that knows all the things for every single class?
You know, I'm sure someone out there has memorized every single.
Their entire life.
It would take a lot. That would be,
Dancing,
honestly, I don't think I'm sure there's probably, you could count it on one hand of how many people could actually memorize it. It would be very hard to memorize all these.
Is that a challenge?
No, it is not a challenge because there's 8 million different types.
You would spend your whole life.
There's a lot, but there's a way of doing it. So we have 3 domains. We have 3 domains and 6 different kingdoms. So 3 domains and 6 different kingdoms. So this is what we're getting into a little bit. So now that so in 2020, as of right now, we still have 3 domains and then 6 kingdoms. We were saying 5 before, but now that we have gotten into a little bit of narrowing down every single different type of species, there is 1 other kingdom. So what I have in parentheses here, it says how many different kingdoms are under the domain. So first domain is bacteria. There's only 1 kingdom under there, and that's the bacteria kingdom. Under archaea, there's only 1 kingdom under archaea, and that's the archaea kingdom. And then for eukarya, there's 4 different types of kingdoms. So 4 different types of kingdoms fall under eukarya. So eukarya, that's where we have the Animalia kingdom, the Plantae kingdom, the Protista kingdom, and then the fungi kingdom. So this would be something I would want you to be able to identify. On a quiz or a test, I would ask you, what kingdom does the Animalia kingdom fall under? And I would say bacteria, archaea, eukarya, or does it fall under the Animalia kingdom? If you said Animalia, I might cry. But I would want you to be able to specify which domain it would fall under. Yep. So this is definitely something you could see on a quiz or a test, being able to say what kingdom or what domain each kingdom belongs to. Yeah, oh yeah, I want you to write down this part. Yep, but it's also in your book. This is all in your book too. So it says where each one falls under page, it's on page 48. It says currently scientists use 3 domains, bacteria, archaea, and eukarya. The bacteria has 1 kingdom, bacteria. The archaea domain has 1 kingdom, archaea kingdom. The eukarya domain has 4 kingdoms, Animalia, Plantae, Protista, and fungi. So if you don't get all this written down, it is on page 48 and you can get it written down. So I'm gonna move on because I wanna get this finished. So here's a little chart. You don't have to write this down, but for those of you who are visual learners, here's a little chart of how the 3 domains, which are these 3 right here, how they break down into the 6 different kingdoms. It does look like a family
What
tree.
page
Back,
kingdom's on this?
it's on page 48. It's on page 48. So bacteria, it breaks down to another way you could hear it is eubacteria. Archaea, another way you could hear archaea is archaebacteria. And you will be hearing it like that in future science classes. The eukarya kingdom, it breaks down into the 4 different kingdoms of Protista, Plantae, Fungi, and Animalia. That is what we all break down to. So remember, this is on page 48. It's in the paragraph that says currently scientists use 3 domains, and then it breaks it all down into what falls under what. If you want to, you can draw it into a little chart like this, a little family tree, or you can just write it in list form like I did. Yes, Aries? Cyanobacteria? I don't know what it is off the top of my head exactly. I can't remember. I'll have to look that up for you. So classify the objects. So my last game show of the day. And this is the last thing we're doing. So you're not taking any more notes. So classify that object. This is my YouTube game.
And then there's the audience in the background. It's like,
Right? Everyone's clapping in the background. Thank you, audience. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, settle down. Settle down. All right. So first off, what is this a part of? Raise your hand, boy.
It is
I
right.
have no buzzer.
Bethy,
Bacteria?
bacteria. And to be more specific, this is an E. coli cell. This is what E. coli would look like. E. coli is very bad for you. So what is this? What's that object? Classify that object. Yeah, William. This is still bacteria. Yep. And you can tell because, for one, it has these flagella coming behind it. It is going to be microscopic. So you're only able to see this as a microscopic view. I was going to grab an image from a microscope, but some of them were kind of hard to see. So I wanted to grab a more animated image. So yes. E. coli, it is a virus. It's a virus that can make you really sick. Yep.
Also, this stuff like it that can be, you can get it from ramen.
Yeah, you can get it from raw meat.
Isn't there
Yep.
also
Or you can
stuff
get it from
All right, classify this object. Classify this object, Madeline.
Man bug.
Yep, Animalia. Yep, that is our ladybug. For those of you who didn't know, that is a ladybug. Well done, Madeline. Golf clap. Okay, classify that object. Calum. It is a fern, but what kingdom is it a part of? It is part of the Plantae kingdom. Fern, good job.
I wasn't even listening, but I just know the classes.
Yeah. All right, classify that object. Yes, Oasis. Is that your final answer? Are you sure? It's the Frodit's kingdom. That's algae.
So the YouTube audience, the crowd.
I'm not going to show you. I'm not going to show my audience the crowd.
He doesn't want us breaking his screen.
Okay. Yes. Now classify this object. Ian. It is a mushroom. So what class? What kingdom is it a part of? Fungi. Yep. It is a mushroom, and this is a part of the mushroom kingdom. All right. So that is all. That is all I had for my game shows for the day. I'll get better on them. Don't worry. I will keep working on it. So no, we're not doing a third lesson. That is all for today, and we were able to do it, and I only went over by a couple minutes. So good job. That is your notes for the day for those 2 lessons.
No
So-
homework.
No homework.